Fake fairness is killing our relationships, and we need to talk about it. So, if you don't know, I'm writing a book about kinship, belonging, estrangement, and abandonment. And one of the things that I've learned over the course of writing this book is one of the biggest threats to relationship is the fear of losing oneself in relationship, whether it's a partner, a spouse, a friendship, a family member, what have you. The felt loss of agency, of autonomy in the face of caring for another person, of arriving in relationship to another person, undermines and usurps our ability to feel like we are in the relationship of our own volition, that we are choosing to be in relationship. So how does this relate to fake fairness? Let me tell you. I'm also crazy excited because I think I've just coined the first phrases of my book, as in I just Googled them and I haven't seen them anywhere else, but let's get into it. Because there is this fear of losing oneself in relationship, this loss of autonomy, people rectify or try to work with this fear by building equal relationships. So what does that look like? How does it show up? Two ways. The first way is shrinking yourself to create and facilitate an equal relationship. If my partner doesn't like something, then I'm not allowed to have it either. And I'm not talking about deal breakers here. Let's say you love going to concerts and your partner's overstimulated easily, so you stop going to concerts altogether. The second way is when a relationship operates as if everyone needs to receive the same thing in order to have the relationship be equal and balanced. I can't ask you for hugs every time I come home from work because that's not something that you need. It's not fair for me to be getting something in this relationship that you're not getting, even if you don't need it. So while this may look like equality, every partner is getting the same thing, we are not actually meeting the individual needs of each partner or friend or family member or whatever the relational dynamic is. What we're talking about here isn't fairness and it's not equity, it's mutual deprivation. Mutual deprivation masquerades as compromise. It says if I can't have this or if I don't want this, you can't have it either. This isn't fairness, this is shared scarcity, where equality says we both have to get the same thing, even if it's not what we both want. Equity says we both get what we need. Are you following me? Enter in our second phrase, performative restriction. You don't like travel, so I'll stop traveling. I don't need hugs when I get home, so why should I give them to you? Now, the reason this is called performed restriction in my world is because it's based around things that we don't actually care that much about, right? We're either refusing to do something simply because we're not receiving that thing, even if we don't want it, or we're restricting ourselves from the things that we enjoy simply because our partner doesn't. Now, again, these are not deal breakers, right? These are not big critical components of relationship that could make or break. These are just fundamental differences in how people are as autonomous individuals. And the issue with mutual deprivation is it leads both people to live smaller, more restricted lives without getting any of the benefit. Relationships so often require compromise, change, influence, and adaptability, right? But those choices should be made in service of the relationship, which is ultimately in service to you and the person you're in relationship with, right? There's a benefit there. When both parties agree to shrink themselves for the sake of this false fairness, we lose track of curiosity. We stop being interested in each other. We stop learning about each other, and we stop feeling like the relationship exists to be mutually beneficial and fulfilling. This is resentment city. And when we perform restriction, when we engage in performative restriction over time, we feel that sensation that we have lost track of ourselves because we have imposed, oftentimes unnecessarily, incredible amounts of distance between ourself and our joy, the things that we'd like to do, the things that we enjoy. And we've also undermined the relationship in terms of not being able to ask for what our needs are and expect or hope that our partner will meet them. One of the most marvelous, magical things about relationship, right, is that we really enter them of our own volition. We get to choose who is near and dear to us, which means we get to inconvenience them. We also get to ask things of them. We get to learn about them and expect in an equitable relationship that they learn about us. So how do we transition from mutual deprivation and performative restriction to mutually beneficial, engaged relationships? I think first and foremost, it has to start from the belief that whatever relationship you're in, and you can talk about this explicitly or you can hold the belief yourself, that both people deserve to be treated as the individuals they are and get their needs met accordingly. that things can be different. They do not have to be the same in order to be fair and just. And fundamentally, I think it requires a reframing from fairness to satisfaction. Instead of asking the question, does this relationship look fair on paper? Asking the question, are we both benefiting from this relationship in a way that feels balanced? Right? Are we getting what we want from this relationship in a way where we each feel satisfied? We need to stop thinking about what we offer in relationship as what is earned, what is deserved, and think about what we are able to offer freely from a place of authentic generosity and investment in the relationship. And of course, this needs to come with a respect of boundaries, of individuality, of autonomy. There needs to be an ability to communicate, compromise, all of that good stuff. But with the ongoing curiosity and awareness that what works for me is going to be different than what works for you. What you need to feel happy, joyful, loved is going to be different than what I need. And that my job, if I care about you, if I love you, if I'm invested in the relationship, is to get it right for you, not to flatten it out and make us both the same. I also just want to say, if these words and concepts sound really new to you, that's okay. Something I've learned over the course of writing this book is that we don't have a lot of language to describe relational dynamics. And what I mean by that is there's a reason in the sort of cultural zeitgeist as it relates to relationship that we tend to lean on archetypes. Are you an avoidant? Are you an anxious? Are you an island? Are you a wave? And as helpful as that can be in the right context, often what that does is lead us to pathologize ourselves and our partners instead of understanding the interplay of dynamics that are happening and what needs to shift in order for us to work better together. The fact of the matter is, you can be an avoidant, you can be a disorganized, you can be an island, you can be a Capricorn, you can be whatever you want to be. And the relationship is going to work or not work depending on whether the person that you're working with can work with you, make agreements on how you work together, why it's mutually beneficial for you to do so, and get the job done in a way that fulfills you both. It's about being able to repair effectively. It's about being able to accept influence. It's about being able to talk about what's happening between you, not talk about each other.